Well, it's Tuesday. It's June 9th. It's 2026. My name is Trent Maddox, and I'm the guy from the title of the show. And I'm about to do all kinds of things that I never do on this podcast. I do it on another podcast, LA Clips Forum, with my boys, Brian and Jake. But this podcast, I usually do the same way every time. I really have kind of a set... it's just a modus operandi, if you will. It's just how I like to do it. I do it specific times of the day, at a specific place, in a specific mindset. And today, throwing it all out the window, we're going to do something different for one day. Got a cocktail in my hand, which is another thing that I never do during this show. Yeah, let's go. I actually recorded hold on. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm the Trent from the title of the show. We covered that in the intro of the intro. Now, on to the next thing. I actually recorded this episode a couple days ago. And by recorded, I mean I took a dry run at it on Saturday. And I was not happy with the result. We'll put it that way. This podcast needed to wait. It needed to wait until today, actually. Because today was the Democratic primary in the state of Maine for all the statewide offices and all the congressional districts, but specifically the one that I want to talk about is the state Senate race, which pits Republican 5-time incumbent running for her 6th term, who promised to only run for 2 terms, Susan Collins, the most concerned member of the United States Senate, and her opposite, who is a guy named Graham Platner. Platner came onto the national scene just a few months ago, actually, like end of last year. For the last year, he's been touring Maine. He's done 83 town halls in the last 8 months. He's basically running a grassroots campaign that has not received any Democratic Senate Election Committee money. Chuck Schumer chose the sitting governor of Maine, a woman by the name of Janet Mills, who is a spicy lady. She's good. She's got good shit going on. To run against Platner, and he basically just dominates her in every poll, and she suspends her campaign. So the story is about Platner. He's a U.S. military vet. He's an Army vet, or a Marine vet. Served 4 tours overseas in war zones. He's the real deal vet. He came back with suffering from PTSD. He came back in a bad way. He by his own admission, over-medicated himself with alcohol. It's a great way to put it, Graham. He has had a Totenkopf tattoo, which is a specific skull and crossbones tattoo that was used by the Nazis during World War II. He claims he didn't know what it was, which is okay. Sure. When he found out what it was, he had it covered up. He had a new tattoo built over it. I think that was wise. He's had some questionable Reddit posts that have come up. He's aggressive. He's a former Marine. I mean, if you've ever spent a lot of time around Marines, these fellows, specifically the men, I'm talking specifically about you, male Marines, have a tendency to be very matter of fact, very tough guy, very macho, masculino, and with good reason. I mean, that's the way you're taught to Marine as a dude in modern Marinedom. And even in old Marindom. Bad choices. Bad choices here and there. He never thought he was going to be running for Senate. He was an oyster farmer who ran for and won a local office where he was the harbor master in his... I forget what it's called, like Blue Hill or something like Blue Hill, Maine. I don't remember. In his little hamlet, this little tiny town, and the next thing you know, he's into local politics, and before you know it, this guy who is, I don't know, just a dude. He's just a dude. Decides that he needs to run for Senate to represent the state of Maine. It has not been easy by any means for him. He is a far from perfect candidate by his own admission. In fact, he repeats that over and over again because he wasn't expecting to be a candidate. He was just a guy living a life. And when you're just a person living your life, you don't think about, well, what if this goes poorly, or this was a stupid idea? This could come back to haunt me later when I run for Senate. You don't think about those things because that kind of activity is not front of mind. In fact, it's probably the furthest thing from your mind. If you're just a regular Joe, just doing your stuff, living, surviving, moving from paycheck to paycheck, just paying rents and cooking meals and trying to figure out why gas is so damn expensive. Cheap shot. You don't think about that kind of stuff. You think about political candidates as people who went to law school, people who chose this stuff, people who majored in political science and then volunteered on campaigns and then became campaign managers or chiefs of staff or just staffers and then became chiefs of staff, and then they worked their way up. They bubble their way up through the system. And that's where politicians come from, right? That's what you think. Politicians come from other politicians. They come from law firms and shit like that. And if you think that, you're largely right. Platner is an everyman. And that's his appeal. When I look at Platner, I look at a guy who has a whole lot in common with me. The fuck up. He was a screw up. He got in over his head at least a couple of times. Didn't know how to deal with it. Probably screwed up. And it just keeps going. But you eventually get to the place where you're not screwed up anymore, where you are in a good headspace, where you are in a good place in your life, and where you do want to do better, and where you do want to make up for your past foibles, and where you do want to have redemption. And that's his deal, right? And last week there were a couple of stories that came out about him. One was leaked to the New York Times by some lady. I think she was one of the people in charge of his campaign when it started. They had a falling out, whatever. She released to the New York Times that Platner's wife knew they had problems, marital problems, centered around Graham having a sexting relationship with multiple women. Okay, and then when it came to light, they dealt with it and they went to therapy and they moved past it and it's over, and that's where they are now. Well, this former campaigner decided to flush the rest of her campaign career down the toilet and turned on, the probably for money, probably got a kickback for the old story leak. So he got he had to come clean about that. He's like, "Yep, happened. I did that. That was bad, and my wife and I have worked it out. We're past it, and we're moving on." And that, it was another example of bad judgment that I'm trying to be better at all the time. I'm going to keep all this in mind because I'm going to come back to that in a second. The bad judgment thing. And then last week, there was another story that came out from the New York Times where 3 of his ex-girlfriends said he was scary when he drank. And one of them claimed that he grabbed her and dragged her out of a car that she refused to get out of. And that he took her arm behind her back and pushed her into a room and then closed the door behind her. And from the other side of the door said, "You need to stay in there and cool off." And so she's claiming that he got physical with her in a couple of situations where he didn't hit her. There was no punching. There was no striking. This was like, it's probably beyond the pale. It's bad. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah. Well, it turns out she's a Republican operative who's been working for Republican campaigns for the last several years. And so, take that with a grain of salt. The one who actually says, well, there was physical comeuppance there. Take that with what you will. He's denied that one entirely. He's like, come on, man. So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about Graham Platner. I want to talk about that. That's who he is. He won tonight. He won that Senate race. He won that Senate primary. And now he's going to face off against Susan Collins, the most concerned member of the Senate. I watched his victory speech tonight, and it was moving. It was powerful. It was excellent. He is not a politician. He is an everyman. And when you see an everyman, it's all about the authenticity. And a lot of people took these latest couple of scandals and said, that makes me like him more. Now, that may not be the right choice to make, to like somebody more because they've had, problems with judgment in the past. But some of the things that he says in this speech are quite profound. And for me, quite affirming. He's running a grassroots campaign. You can do that shit in Maine. He will probably shake the hand and meet damn near every voter that will vote for him in the 2 years that will have been running for this, a year and a half that will have been running for this seat by the time the election day comes. Maine's not a big place. He's getting around and has been for a while. You couldn't run that same campaign in California. Fuck. Are you kidding me? Los Angeles County, for example, has more registered voters than 41 United States states. Not combined, but just more than, if you just take the voter registrations, it would be the 9th largest state or 10th largest state in the country. Los Angeles County, the one county. You could pull that shit off here. You could pull that shit off in Riverside County. Anyway. Graham Platner is everymanning his way into the Senate. And one of the things that he says is that he's far from a perfect candidate. He repeats that over and over again. I have had lapses in judgment. But here's what he follows it up with. But every morning I wake up and I try to be a little bit better. I try to be a little bit kinder. That admission, that is what we're all supposed to be shooting for. That is the joy of being a human. Waking up every morning and trying to be better and trying to be kinder. Trying to bring something to this world that you and you alone can bring to it. The world is full of fucking people. There's 8 billion of them out there. Plus. And not all of them are good people. Not all of them are bad people. Most of them are just people. Moving from moment to moment, trying to survive, trying to do the best they can with the hand that they're dealt. That's called survival. That's what we're all hardwired to do. Now, I've lived an entire life where that's all I've seen. Survival. In some way. My partner has blessed me with the background. She's financially backing us as a family to allow me to be the dad that I want to be and be the husband that I want to be and create a home for them that they're proud of, that they love, that they feel nurtured in. That's my job. I want to go back to work soon. Of course, with every passing day, I get a day older and I worry about my physical ability to just fucking do stuff. But I'm trying and I'm testing myself and I'm pushing myself. Maybe it may not be a good idea, but, I have bad judgment sometimes too. I admit that freely. The thing about trying to be better and trying to be kinder is it just makes the world a better place. And it does. It makes you a better person. And it tells you that you're trying. Now, I want you to take 1 second and try to imagine any elected Republican right now. Any one of these motherfuckers. And there's hundreds of them at every level, from local all the way up to the fucking White House. Loaded with Republicans. And can you imagine any of them saying, I am an imperfect person, I have made mistakes, I have had bad judgment in the past, but I wake up every day and I try to do a better job, and I try to be better, and I try to be kinder. Can you imagine any of them doing that? I mean, and being honest about it. I can imagine a whole fuckload of them just lying about it because that's what they do. They tell you what they think you want to hear. And in some cases, it works. But if you really boil it down, are these people honestly trying to be better versions of themselves? Are they honestly trying to serve the people that have elected them to represent them? And that's what elected office is. You are elected by a constituency to represent them. Are these Republicans representing? And some Democrats too. There are fucking Democrats that just need to, God, get the fuck out of office. Move on. Serving in the United States government, the federal government, serving in the state government, serving in a city government. That is service. It's in the word. Serving. Service. It is service to your constituents. It's service to your neighbors. It's service to your community. And depending on what level you get elected at, maybe that community is your, local area. Maybe it's your entire state if you're a senator or a governor or somebody in a statewide office. Think about that for a second. Are these people serving the people who put them there? Or are they serving their rich donor friends? Or themselves? Or some combination of those two? Usually those two. Platner's whole push is that he is the senator that you can't buy. His whole thing is running against money. It's running against the corporate interests. It's running against Susan Collins, who has made herself rich while in the Senate, while everybody in Maine continues to struggle, continues to fight month to month, paycheck to paycheck, trying to pay their bills. And she hasn't made life any better for any of them. That's his push. She hasn't had a town hall since he was in 8th grade. Bro's in his 40s, by the way. Susan Collins has served 30 years in the Senate after promising to only do 12. A lot of the gerontocracy, a lot of these old people who are still in charge, a lot of these boomers who refuse to let go of the fucking reins so that somebody else can take over, they're at the heart of the problem. So I wanted to sit down and I wanted to talk about Graham Platner. I wanted to talk about the fact that I find him inspirational. Not because he's perfect. Not because, like every other political candidate, apparently we have to grow them in a lab, in a petri dish, to make sure that they're, controversy free. He's real. He's everyman. He's one of us. He's one of us. And that's what makes him special. And that's what makes the future. This is my observation here. That's what makes the future brighter than it has been in a long time. We are about to see a brand new version of politics. The imperfect candidates who run populist campaigns, not because it's going to get them elected, but because it's what they believe in. And for my money, and I'm going to put it on Front Street right here, I believe that this is a direct result of the 2016 presidential campaign of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who tried to do the right thing at the right time. And in the process, he inspired a bunch of people who are just everyman. We're just people to get involved. Maybe that's just local government. Maybe it's just your school board. Maybe it's just being a concerned citizen and talking to your friends, which counts for the record. If you fucking do that, you are winning. You're part of the winning cause. You are pushing the ball down the field by having good, positive discussions about the direction of our country. Because where we're going right now, fuck all, man. I always thought that there were two choices for the future. There was either Star Trek, where we all figured it out and we all said, hey, humans be humans, baby, and we're all good. We're all beautiful in some special way. So who gives a shit whether what color your skin is or who you love or what gods you worship? You're just one of us. We're all humans. We're all doing this shit together, right? We've all got the same fucking problems. Well, we don't all have the same problems, but we've all got fucking problems. And if you don't have problems, I don't know. You won at life. I've never met that person. I always thought that there were two options. There was either this Star Trek, we're all good, and let's work together and do fucking amazing things, or what I call the Republican version, or libertarian was what I used to do. I used to joke that the libertarian version is always, it's Mad Max. It's random roving people driving from burnt out city to burnt out city in a post-apocalyptic world where it's all desert and the most precious commodity is gasoline. You could either live in a Star Trek future where we've got interstellar travel and replicators that could create food and these incredible benevolent artificial intelligences that help us as a part of the crew, or you could ride from outpost to outpost scared of the mutant hill people who eat you, Cannibal Hill people. Ah! Think about it. What future, when I think about the Republican Party, what future are they promising us? What fucking future are they promising us? What is it that they say, you know what, the future is going to look like 100 years from now, this is what the world's going to look like. They don't ever have an answer for that. They don't have one fucking iota of an inkling of caring about what life's going to be like. Life beyond their short-sighted lifespan. Me, I want my kids to grow up in a place with clean air and clean water and a government that actually functions and makes their lives better and ensures that one emergency or one mistake or one bad break doesn't destroy their lives. That's what I want. That's a liberal version of the future. I don't want giant corporations being able to fucking tell us what to do. Fuck that. I don't want artificial intelligence replacing our work just because they're cheaper. That's fucking insane. What is the point of life if it's not to be lived by the humans who are currently living it? The humans who are creating little humans who need a future. The Republicans want to build bombs and prisons. Democrats want to build hospitals and roads and electric vehicle chargers and solar plants and wind turbines. Holy shit! This shouldn't even be a fucking question, guys. The Republican Party promises nothing except hatred and bigotry and racism and misogyny and just looking down on other people because they're not like you. Platner is the future of fucking politics because the future of politics is a government of the people. We, every man, are supposed to be running in these elections and fucking winning. And the instant that we can get big money out of politics, it's going to happen everywhere. It's going to happen everywhere. These corrupt fucks aren't going to want to run anymore. Because they're going to get beaten by some podcast host who's come out of his garage and taken the gloves off and said, let's fucking go. I don't have to take any shit from you anymore. And that's what our democracy's supposed to be about. It's ours. The fucking point of the United States of America, 250 years old, was, hey, King George, up your butt with a coconut. We don't have to take your shit anymore. We're doing it our way. And our way may not be perfect. Our way may be fucked up. But we're going to set down a set of rules that allow us to change the rules so that it's not fucked up anymore. It would be really cool if politicians started talking like that, wouldn't it? We're going to have some fucking conventions where we're going to make some changes to the Constitution. We're going to take dark money out of politics. We're going to change the way the criminal justice system works so that there aren't two tiers of criminal justice, the rich and the rest of us. We're going to make some changes that benefit everybody and not just the rich people who can afford to get their message out. We're far from perfect. We're a far from perfect country. And that's okay. Graham Platner's a far from perfect candidate. That's okay too. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we perfect? And if the answer is, not really, well, then you got to find something in your heart called grace. You have to forgive yourself for not being perfect, and you have to forgive others for not being perfect. We have to lift each other up and remember that it doesn't matter how close to perfect we are. It's what's in our heart, what drives us forward. That's the important part. So Platner won tonight. He gave an incredible speech. Please, check it out. It'll be all over YouTube. Graham Platner's a real one. And is he flawed? Yup. Do I still hope he wins? Fuck yeah. When Graham Platner makes a mistake, he gets a dumb tattoo. I've got dumb tattoos. When Graham Platner makes a mistake, he does damage to his marriage and has to fix it. Been there. More than once. When Graham Platner makes a mistake, a very small group of people get hurt. Yeah, that's true. When Susan Collins makes a mistake in judgment, she buys Brett Kavanaugh's fucking lies and puts him on the Supreme Court. And half of the American population loses their right to bodily autonomy if they're in the wrong fucking place. That is ludicrous. Susan Collins has enriched herself in the Senate, and she has voted to fund wars that shouldn't be fought. To continue wars that shouldn't have been started. And not just the current one. So if we're talking about, oh my God, the Democrats have fielded a flawed candidate. Let's talk about his 34 felony convictions in a state court. Let's talk about his being an adjudicated sexual assaulter. Let's talk about the fact that he owes millions in unpaid settlements that he refuses to pay. Let's talk about the fact that he's hiding his taxes from everybody. Let's talk about the fact that he has incited an insurrection against the United States government. Oh, wait. That wasn't Graham Platner. That was the guy that they supported for president of the United States. The Mad King himself, Donald J. Trump. Think about it. These are the conversations we're supposed to be having. I hope we have more of them. I look forward to talking to you again very soon. I plan on getting together with my friend George. We are going to determine the future of No Plan, No Problem, which is either about to become a priority or won't be at all, one or the other, because he's killing me with this. I'm probably going to release another episode later this week as well, either Thursday or Friday, probably Friday. But I did want to talk about Graham Platner, the Platner of It All. You guys who listen to this show, kick ass. You are fucking awesome. And I apologize for all the F-bombs and cursing and inappropriate behavior. But that's who I am. It's how I talk. It's how I live. It is what it is. I appreciate you anyway. And I hope that you keep coming back. Please share this with a friend who needs to hear it, because we all need to continue this conversation. That's the important part. Keep talking. I will be back before you know it. Until then, like Graham Platner said, wake up every morning, try to be better. Try to be a little more kind. Be good humans, everybody. It's the least we can do. We're all in this together. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.